So, hello and welcome to another English video of mine, and today we are going to look at the JVC KD-V6 stereo cassette deck. Now this is my first 3-header cassette deck, and it actually is my favorite cassette deck I have at the moment. And yes, I do have this Denon, which I think might have been Denon's second highest end deck for the early 90s. Close to Duke Capstan, 8.6 Pro and bias fine. But yet, I still prefer this JVC. And it's over 10 years older. But I like it. Anyway, so I got this deck I think 2 months back, and I got it on eBay, and I actually picked it up along with that receiver up there, which is a matching receiver. It's an absolute beast of a receiver. I love it a lot. It's JVC RX350V, and I got it with it. It's a matching receiver from the era. This is JVC's second highest end receiver from that era. This is JVC's third highest end cassette deck. Now unfortunately all the info I can find on how old this is a bit confusing, because some people say 1992, other people say, a lot of people say 1994, and so does the date code inside of this one. But JVC definitely featured it in their 1983 catalog, and some people even say that this is 82 stuff. And other people have said that they bought one of these brand new in box in a store in 1989. So it's all a bit confusing, but this one has a date code of 84 inside, so that's so this one is at least. And probably the receiver is about the same old then, because it was bought along with the cassette deck, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I got this for €150, which you might say is expensive, which it kinda is. But this cassette deck itself sells for around 70 to €150 on eBay here in Germany. And I got it along with that receiver, which doesn't seem to be worth that much, despite the fact of giving excellent sound quality and having very good features. This receiver only sells for around €30, which is not much for what you get. So if anyone is looking for a starter receiver here in Germany that is gonna absolutely blow a lot of things away, look for the JVC RX350V. The only complaint is this really small volume slider, and the power supply in these ones is extremely hot, but apparently that's normal. So I'm not worrying too much about that, but just be aware that if you get one of these, be sure that you can put it at the toppest area of your system where it will get the best ventilation space. But anyway, here's the cassette deck, so let's do a quick overview. Got the JVC logo. And yes, this is real JVC. It actually was made in Japan. None of that modern JVC crap that's in China. But here we got the power switch, and then we got the timer selector switch, which if you put it in play mode and press the power button, as soon as an external timer applies power, the deck automatically goes into play mode. And the same goes for record. One thing that's pretty neat though, if you turn it off and put it in record mode, you get a child lock. It says safety lock, and you cannot push the power button in. This did have a reefer capacitor inside, which I did have to remove. But the power switch in it seems to be working just fine without it. And apparently the reefer only is in the European model. So let's say you're in the US. Over there you still don't have any issues at all. Then we get a headphone jack, and this has one of the best headphone amplifiers I ever had inside of a cassette deck. It sounds really, really, really nice. And then we get an output level for control for both the headphone output and the line outs on the back, and an input balance control. There we get, and I'm gonna do like this, I hope that's okay with me not reaching over there all the time. But we get an MPX filter. Actually, if it lights up, you can see it lights up there. Standard MPX filter, this does that filtering with the FM when you use Dolby. You get Dolby B and Dolby C. I personally use Dolby B a lot. C is a very good noise reduction system, but it seems to miss track a lot when it's not completely aligned. So that's why I don't like to use it that much, even though if you do have decks that are all aligned, it's much superior to Dolby B. But I like B, and to be honest, the hiss doesn't bother me that much, but if I can cut it down, I'm happy. Here we got the tape monitor switch, and it's really kind of a little bit cheap and silly looking. Saw some tape thing with those little stars or whatever they are on top. It's a bit silly in my opinion. But that's JVC. And then we got a pretty damn awesome feature, and that's this digital peak. So I'm going to pop a tape in real quick. I'm not going to give an audio sample just yet. But if I pop this tape in here, you can see the counter going there too. You can see it has a normal peak level meter. And then you can see right there the one illuminated. And that is very neat because it actually gives you a readout of the actual peak level that's on the tape. And I'll always use this to set my record level, and generally ignore this meter over here. And you even get this call button, which it saves the memory the loudest you recorded the tape on. So it saves that in memory, which is really cool. And if you want to just delete that, you can press it twice, and now it's gone again. So that's a really, really handy feature, and that's really how I always set my record levels. Let's stop the tape again and eject it. Then we got some memory functions. So we got a normal memory, which can work as a 0 stop and winding, but also if you press the memory and the counter is not at 0, it also saves that and stops then. And then you get this auto repeat feature, which is pretty cool. So if you have a memory position saved in the counter and you turn this on and you press rewind, it automatically starts playing there. But what's even cooler, if you want to repeat a section of the tape, what you do, you press memory at the section you want it to begin, and then at the section you want it to end, and rewind again and start playing again, you press this. So what it does then, it plays that section of the tape, and then once it has reached that certain memory point, it starts to rewind and then play it back again at the place you told it to start. So that's pretty damn cool. Turn memory back off though. And then get counter reset, of course. And you got stopwatch and counter. So counter is just your generic sort of tape counter thingy. But then if you go to counter, it actually has a minute counter. Now unfortunately it only works in playback, but I think it's pretty neat either way. And definitely handy to have. Over here we got the door, which is actually very, very nicely designed. And I'll come to that in just a second. But you can see in there, if I can cover it up, you can see hopefully that lights up. Which is really cool because say you have one of these Sony UXS tapes with a really tiny window on it, but yet because it illuminates through there, you can still see the tape in there pretty well. But if you were to say put it in one of these Pioneers like this, you are not going to see where the tape is there because it's dark in there and the window is very tiny, so you're not, I mean of course now you're going to see it because I got a light shining into it, but if it was somewhat in the dark, you would not be able to see that, where you will be able to see that even in the complete dark. But yeah, discrete 3-head system. It's 3-head. And then we got these nice little LEDs JVC put on front, which are pretty neat. They're nothing you need, but they're pretty neat. They just blink around, show you what function it is in. And then down there, SA head and solid casting head housing. We'll come to that shortly. 2-motor full logic silent mechanism that's actually a lie. It has 3 motors in it. It's pretty interesting that they didn't count the third one, because in this Denon over here they have this more or less the same setup with how the motors are on that one. You got one flywheel motor, then you got one motor that controls the mechanism, and you got one wheel motor for these wheels. Same setup in that one, except there's one more belt in that one, but it's same setup more or less. But that one, so do you see what that 3-motor mechanism? So I don't know why they didn't count that other motor. Maybe because it's JVC and they don't overstate things all the time. At least back then. And SA head, LO head. It's a very, very good recording head. This I've actually seen. It's a very clever setup in here. They use a JVC SA head for recording, which from what I've heard from other people are excellent heads for recording, but they aren't too good for playback. And then they're using a JVC Metaperm head, which I can say from my own experience is an amazing, amazing playback head. Those are in this deck, and a lot of people ask me sometimes why I use such a cheap double deck. Because it sounds really good, because it uses JVC Metaperm heads for playback. However, it also uses them for recording, and to be honest, this is one of my worst recorders, unfortunately. But JVC did very clever in this, I think, because they more or less used one of the best recording heads as a recording head. They kind of sucked at playback, but because of that, they used one of the best playback heads that's not so great at recording. So I was getting kind of thirsty there, rambling on the whole day. But yeah. So that is that, and now I'm going to show you the heads inside. I can unfortunately not show you the back, but it's pretty generic, so there's nothing special on the back. But you can see the solid cast head housing, and you can see those are the heads. That right there is the center alloy record head, and that's the Metaperm playback head. And you can see on the own little metal block almost that has the JVC logo on it. And those keep the heads in alignment very well, and just overall are very, very good for the heads because they're not gonna get misaligned easily. Very good mechanism. You can see how much metal parts have been used. It's a very, very high quality mechanism. And let me put you back in the tripod here. And one other thing I find to be very clever, if you see those little metal, not metal, but those little plastic squares, what you're supposed to use them for is you're supposed to put your finger on there when you close the door. And I think that's very, very clever. Because instead of having it like down here where there's touch and fingerprint, you also hear quality. Where there's touch and fingerprint here all over your door. Right here, that little thing, you automatically, at least I've noticed, I automatically just put my finger on there and use it. And then you only have fingerprints in this upper corner, and you're also only going to have the fingerprints on the clear plastic and not in this little black plastic piece. So that's very clever in my opinion from JVC that they did that. And then we got a pause button. Hold on just a second. So there, we got a pause button, a play button. We got record mute, which is pretty cool. If you're on record, which is the button right next to it, if you're in that record mode and you press that button, it puts 4 seconds of just silence on the tape after you press that button. So I think that's really cool because that allows you to use a music scan very, very well because it puts those seconds of silence, yeah? And you got the stop button. You got rewind and fast forward, music scan. It only is a single track music scan unfortunately, so nothing special, but it's pretty cool either way. And then we get index scan, which is pretty neat. So I'll demonstrate that with the cassette later. It's a bit difficult to explain. I explained it in the German version of this video and it took a little bit to explain that. But yeah, it's more or less it with all the buttons. You do have this remote hookup, which is a 3.5mm jack. And the remote controls for that, if you Google the model number, which I don't know out of my head right now, you can find one actual picture of the remote control. And you can see that the remote control was made out of these rubber membrane buttons that all fall apart. So it's not too good, unfortunately. So I'm probably not gonna get a remote for it because they're rare and they fall apart. But it would be neat. Maybe you can see how to get a data signal in there or something. But yeah. So now I think that's all. Let's get into the demonstration. I'm going to use this tape which is recorded in that deck down there. So again, as I've said, it's not gonna sound super good, but the nice thing is it's a very long tape with copyright-free music, so I can use it for that. And let's turn the speakers on up here, and let's press play. Go BB. So here plays back. Not the best playback demonstration because it was recorded down in here. But this is a very, very, very good playback deck. And we can demonstrate the reverse music scan. See, it does its blinky thing. I can hear a bit of the ending of the previous track there. There you go, and we can do the forward music scan. Yeah, right there. I'm gonna demonstrate the index scan, but I'm gonna do it on the other side of this tape because that music is about to end. That's the last track. You see, you press that and fast forwards first because it tries to find a song, and then you can see it found a song, and now it starts playing it. You might say, well, that's just the same as music scan, but wait a second. Oh, 10 seconds. And you see it fast forwards again, and that's what it does. It does the music scan, but it does it repeatedly after it, it does it repeatedly, but between the sections it plays 10 seconds of the tape. So you can search through a tape really nicely. So you can search through the songs. So I really like that. If you, for example, want to search through a tape where you don't know what songs are on it, or just generally if you want to listen to some random music on a tape and you don't quite know where the song is, but you just want to see if there's anything nice on there. So it's really nice for that. And yeah, the mechanism is full logic. So without any further ado, let's give a bit of a better playback demonstration with the KD-V6, which is the industry standard tape, and we're going to record a bit on this SA on here later, but for now I just want to give a proper sound quality demonstration. This is recorded on the Pioneer CTS 130S right there. I did use tape tuning, and I think I used OBB, but even if I used OBS, it's compatible with B, so press play here. You can see the other counter working. And yeah, it sounds really good because JVC my tap on for playback. I'm actually going to rewind now because the song was about to end and I want to crank it up a bit more. It's very sound, this mechanism. So it sounds really good for playback, but now it will sound really good for recording too. I'm just gonna pull up YouTube real quick. Let's see what we get. There you go. Copyright free music, cause yeah. See that right there? And you can see how you can read it out there on this display. You can also see it, of course, doing its thing here, but you can read it out on the display. See, now it's under 0. So it's really cool that you can do that, in my opinion. You can see it right there better. It reads it out, but you can also see it right there. It's a really cool system. Like, this is just JVC. JVC is awesome. But anyway, let's hit record. There you go. Doing it up here now. So I'm doing it up here now. And hope that you could see the difference up there with that light lighting up. But literally on just the KD-V6, this thing sounds as good as the source. Like, this JVC deck is just amazing. Like, you don't get any special features, but for what it has, it just sounds really good. Even on just a KD-V6. And even on the Mac CUR it does sound very good, though you can notice that there isn't quite as much treble. But on this SA, I mean, you could see the level drop a bit on the level meter. That's why I did this thing later on, so I could have the same level with setting this knob right here and then just doing it up here. But it sounds really, really, really good, this deck. Like, I absolutely love it. But yeah, that's more or less it. It sounds really good. If you have any other questions about this deck, put them in the comment section below. And I really hope that you enjoyed this video. And I'll see you soon again in another video, which I'm probably gonna do a video about that Denon deck now. So anyway, thank you for watching.